Alright, I am going to show you how I stitch together the knit squares that I make. Like when you're learning how to do it, you're gonna make a bunch of these, so might as well make a blanket out of them. Plus, I love blankets. I have two different ways that I do it because, again, I don't know how to blend in the yarn and make it look like it's all like invisible how it's put in. So I do on this blankie that I already showed. It's kind of hard to see because I used black and white yarn, but I did like the Frankenstein stitch type thing because it holds better and it kind of looks cool. So you might as well see it. If I can't make it invisible, why not try to make it noticeable? Why try to hide it if I can't? But I'll show you how to do that one. And I forgot scissors. I'll be right back. I don't know how I always forget something, but there's always something. But once you have scissors, because you're going to need those, I like doing the second version I'm going to show you better, because then you don't have to really cut the yarn. You can just like keep going at it, and you work at it with the ball of yarn, but you need to kind of know how to crochet to do that. So I'm just going to cut as much as I think I'm going to need for this, because I'm only doing two squares together. So, thread your needle, and there's also a little thing that I do when starting it. I don't weave in the ends of one side on the squares that I know I'm going to sew together, because there's a way to not, this is how I change yarn colors when I'm crocheting or knitting too, because it's the only knot that I have found that holds. But you hold them so like they're opposite ways, like against each other, then you cross it over and wrap the one side around, and same with the other. You wrap it around, and then you have this little like space in the center of it, and you want to put the yarn through the center space, so they're both through it. So it's really, really hard to understand or to show, but it kind of will look like that, or from the other side it'll look like that, just a bunch of twists. And then you pull it tight so it looks like that, and then you really pull it tight and it will not come undone. Like, you can seriously, you can cut it super close and it will not come undone. I've tried other ways, like twisting it around more and more, but it only works that way, and I know that's really hard to understand, so I'm sorry about that. But I did the best I could, because it's the only, I'm sure it's called something, and I'm sure you can find out how to do it better online, but I don't know what it's called or how to explain that better, because it's just how I do it. Like, it's hard to explain. But anyway, besides that, here's the two squares. Again, hard to explain because I have to hold it up. But just like regular sewing, I'm going to put it through. And then to do the Frankenstein type thingy, again, I don't know what that's called. You go under it, and then it'll kind of like twist. It's going to be hard to show because the yarn's yellow at first. Yeah, just like that. And again, go through them. Go through both sides. Pull it tight, but not all the way tight. And you want to go through the little piece you just did so it'll twist. And then pull it tight, and you cannot see that, so let me do the rest of the yellow, like get through this. This is the tail or whatever at the end of the knit. I just don't like to weave that in because you can kind of cheat and use that piece of yarn and make it useful. Let me do that, get through the yellow so you'll be able to see what I mean. So, 1 minute. Okay, I did 2 just regular, but with it tight, you see how I'm just kind of doing a whip stitch? You just go under the tight, and then it makes the Frankenstein thing. So, just do a regular whip stitch, pull it through, and then just stick your needle through it, and then it does that. So it's like noticeable, and not like just a regular whip stitch. There's also this way you can do it. You can put it around your needle before you pull it tight, which is how I usually do it, and then it just like that. So you hold it, have it underneath the needle, and pull it through. So there's this way to do it, which I like a lot, but it's difficult because if you have a really big blanket that you're making, so if you're sewing together a ton of these things, your yarn is going to be cut a lot, and then you have to keep retying it to make it longer again, which weakens it, which I don't necessarily like, but I like how this looks, so it's worth it to me. It looks really cool. It's just the Frankenstein style thing, so that's how that looks. I'm glad I grabbed purple yarn, or rainbow yarn, but this part's purple because you can really see it. But that's how that looks. I'm not going to do the whole thing because I'm going to take these 2 squares apart and then show you how the crochet one is. So 1 minute. Alright, now that they are separate again, because I didn't feel like going to get a different piece and then redoing it again. To start the crochet one, this is the way I prefer doing, just because, again, you don't have to cut the yarn. You can just like start with a fresh ball of yarn and use that instead of having to worry about cutting it and getting the string or thread, whatever, yarn that you're sewing with all tangled. You just crochet it. You start out by, it's just the same end with the tail on it. But you start out by putting your needle or hook, because I'm crocheting now, through the very edge, and then starting your first crochet stitch by wrapping it around and, getting a loop on the hook. And from there, it's pretty easy to do this. So, if I can get them to stay together, there we go. You go through the other corner, so the side that you're not attached to yet, just like with sewing. You go through and then wrap around your hook and pull it through both stitches. You're going to want this to be very loose though, so make sure you have plenty hanging off your loop. Make sure it's not like this, because if it's tight like this, it's not going to work. It's going to be too tight. So make sure you have quite a bit. And then you go into like the next couple area, how far away you want to go. It doesn't really matter. And then same thing, wrap it around, pull it through, and then pull it through the loop that was already on your hook. Just, again, as far apart as you want it to be. But you put it through both sides of the knit, so both squares. Wrap it and pull it through both. Yes, this does use a lot more yarn than sewing it, but I feel that this way holds it better. And it looks pretty cool too. So, because again, I don't know how to do the hiding of the stitch, so might as well have it look good instead of just have it be there. Yeah, just like that all the way across. Sometimes, yes, it will get kind of tricky to shove it through, because depending on where you're trying to get it through, you're putting a crochet hook through a knit project. It's It's not gonna go super easily, but you'll get the hang of it. But I'm gonna do the rest of this in this style, and then I'll show you how this works. So I will be right back. I am very impressed with myself. The piece of thread or yarn that I cut, I had this much left over. I couldn't have done that if I actually was trying. But this is how the crocheted one looks, completely done. Like, again, you gotta pull on it to make it flat, but it does get flat after a while. I just like this one because it holds a lot better. Like, it holds, but the other way looks better. It holds too, I just don't like cutting the yarn as much as that, so I prefer doing it this way even though it doesn't, like, it's not, hang on, you see how this way is like flat? Like, it's completely flat, and this way is kind of, like, you can tell how it was folded over. But if you like the way that seams look, and you're really looking for that way, like, do this, because it's definitely going to hold better than if you sew it with a bunch of short little pieces of yarn. Again, it holds. You're just going to have like this. I need to go through and cut a bunch of threads off because it's coming on, like, you can see it. It's coming out of the, why can't I not find any right now? Here's one inside, like at a corner. See, they all come out where I tie it because I cut it too short and I don't know how to blend it in. So if you don't mind that, and you want it flat, or if you know how to hide it better, do that way. But if you want it to be really, really, really secure and not come apart, do it like this. Because this is definitely the way that's gonna hold. To end it, you just knot it off like you normally do. I do the crazy knot thing. You pull it tight, and then you go through one side and then through the other side, and then you pull it tight, and that knot doesn't come undone unless you cut it. So you can do that way too. And then you just weave this part in the best you can. Yeah, so that's how I put them together. Those are my two ways of doing it. The crocheted way is definitely my preferred. But like for hold and for lifespan of it. But this way I prefer for the looks. So it just depends on what look you're going for. If you want it invisible, I can't do that. So I don't know how to do that one. I wish I did, but I have not figured that out. I don't know that much about knitting and crocheting to do that. Yeah, so I hope that was helpful for you. I'm gonna try and take this apart one more time, just so that I have them separate, because I don't really need them sewn together right now. I don't have enough to make a full blanket, and I don't know what I want the pattern to be yet. So I'm going to take these apart real quick, and then I'll try and show you that magic, I don't know what it's called, sewing together, or tying together the two yarns, because I'm going to put the purple one back on what I cut it from. So 1 minute before I take it apart. I just wanted to show you the crochet way. It comes apart really easy. That's all that takes. The sewn together way takes a bit more. Like, if you decide you want to try both ways, try the crochet way first, because unless it's knotted, it comes apart much easier than the sewn way. Alright, got to untie it again. It's free. Let's try and show you this magic knot thingy, because I don't know what it's called, or what you would call it, or how to do it, really. I just do it. I've done it so many times. But hold the strings so they're opposite each other. You can do it with a lot, more length than I have, but this is just how I do it. but you twist it around, and then this is just the one side. You put it under, and then through, like that, and just kind of hold it there, and then under, and through. So both ways you do the exact same thing too. Again, I've tried like putting it through more times, but it just comes undone, and I don't know why. It only works with once. And then you tie it, like pull it tight, and I mean really tight. Like it's not budging. And you just cut it as close to the knot as you possibly can, so that way you can't really tell. And then it's back together. I never cut it. It's like new. So it's still weaker than it would be if I didn't cut it, but you know what I mean. Like it's back together. Like when you're changing yarn or need a new ball of yarn or changing color or whatever. That's the easiest way to do it. So hopefully that was easy to understand. I know it's not, but, and I'm sure it's called something, so you can probably find a better instruction on how to do that online. I have no idea what it would be called, so that's the best way I can describe how to do it. I just call it the magic or whatever because it is. It just doesn't come undone no matter how hard you try. If you do it wrong, it slips right out. But once you get it, it's gonna stay put. Like sometimes in balls of yarn, you'll get it where it's like, I have yarn on my nose, itchy. You'll get it when like the skein of yarn has two pieces or it's like tied together in the factory or something. That's a very common thing. So I just untie that and do that knot, and it stays. It does, and you can't really tell when you do the project. You can't tell that it's been knotted. Yeah, but anyway, that's not the point of the video. That's kind of just like half of it or whatever at this point. The point was how to sew the squares that you make together. It doesn't have to be a knit square either. It can be the crocheted ones or whatever. It's whatever you do is how I sew things together. I just usually have a lot of the squares. So I hope that helps you to get them sewn together and into a blanket. It's gonna take a long time if you make a really big one like that one. It does. It takes a couple hours to get it done. But it's well worth it because the knit blankets with the millions of squares that I have 3 right now, I think, that are like that. 2 are on my bed right now, and then this one. So yeah, 3. And then I have 1 giant granny square blanket that I use. That's in the closet because I don't need that right now. But yeah, I love doing them, so might as well enjoy them as blankets. But I hope that helps you figure out how to put them together once you have a big stockpile of them. Because yeah, honestly, the blankets they're really nice. So I recommend sewing them all together even if it does take a long time to get done. But anyway, I'm done talking. Sorry about that. I know that turned pretty long, but I wanted to show you how to do the knot and all that stuff. So thank you for watching, and if you made it all the way through, truly thank you for watching. And I hope that helped. Bye!